All right, well, we're live, so now we're a little bit early with Brandon, but I don't care because we got an actual episode to record, and then everything we do from here on out will be the bonus. So here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome. You know what? It'd help if I was actually recording on my other thing.
Oh, dude, you know what? I'm not recording either. Like it's like
it's like we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to feel like everybody can laugh at me too. I think on Twitch they can see my stream, so they'd be like, "Wow, this dude's this guy is like the basicest bro ever." Basicest. He's using Audacity to record his audio. What a loser!
We know when you're recording.
Yeah, I'm working on it. My computer's freaking out right now. It's like, dude, you're making me do way too much work right now. Like, what are you even doing?
Yeah, it's funny. Once I got rid of that processor, everything else was gravy. My webcam started working all of a sudden.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, bro stash, I'm recording.
All right, same. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Brutally Speaking podcast. I am one of your hosts, John. And with me, as always, is Daniel Terry. We are doing the damn thing live as of when you are watching this, but when you're hearing it, well, it's not live technically. So it's a weird world we live in.
Give or take.
This episode's guest is Frank Novinek, guitar player for Hatebreed, whose upcoming album Weight of the False Self is out November 27th via Nuclear Blast Records. Holy shit, is this a motherfucker of a record?
I'll tell you what, man. I like, when I got my stream link, I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, did my brain just catch on fire? I mean, just it opens so hot. It doesn't waste any time at all. Like, just, it's like opening up a door, being ready to start smiling and say, hi, my name is, and then you just get bashed in the face with a sledgehammer. And then for the next 30 minutes or however long, you end up getting bashed over and over and over and over again with said sledgehammer. Hatebreed's not exactly innovative, but they don't have to be that. They're guys that are good at one thing, and they are career good at one thing.
You know, but you kind of had said that when we did the chat, the live cast, our top 5 records, talking about this record at the time. And now we can talk about it a little bit more. And we talked about it in the Michael Stoney episode as well. So, we're here. We can talk about it. I think there's definitely some stuff that Hatebreed showcases on this one that's a little bit out of the realm of what they've typically have done. I mean, look at that album closer. I mean, I was not expecting something that kind of epic. I mean, for them to do, what is it, almost a 7-minute song, especially as an album closer? Like, I can't really think of them doing that on any of their discography. So the fact that they did it was just kind of like, oh, shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, the super shreddy stuff as well in there was pretty... I honestly wasn't expecting that either. Like, there's some straight up solid, like, classic thrash kind of leads on this. I mean, I sound like Joe from Discography Discussion when I say that, but I mean, it's true. Like, this is
I think Joe's watching us live right now.
There he goes. But yeah, no, this record actually is everything that I wanted from a Hatebreed record, while also giving me things I didn't know I wanted from a Hatebreed record. And 25 years into the career, like, that's pretty fucking impressive, if you ask me.
Totally. I think it's very impressive, and I enjoy the ever living crap out of it. Like, I recently, when getting to sit down and listen to every single record, as I'm opt to do, it really struck me, and I don't know if I even mentioned this in the episode that we did, but it really struck me that there really isn't a lot of consistency with music anymore. Like, we are running into kind of a wall where, like, I know I complain that all bands sound the same or whatever, but like, only Hatebreed sounds like Hatebreed. Okay, yeah. That wasn't technically true back when Hatebreed first got popular, because they were more trying to find a really nice word here, because I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, because I don't want to get my ass kicked. But it's definitely one of those. They have a very, very. All I'm saying, long story short, I'm getting all flubbled up tonight. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is that this band is amazingly consistent. They are original, and they're, at this point, they are the only destination for that sound.
Yeah, it's Honestly, I was reminded that Terror's Keepers of the Faith turned 10, like maybe a week or so ago, and coincidentally, I saw him on that tour opening for Hatebreed when they had Every Time I Die, and like the best lineup I've ever seen for a show. I think Job for a Cowboy was on it, and somebody else. I'm like, oh, I think This Is Hell was the opening band.
Nice.
So it was one of those where it's like everybody who is what they are and just kills it. Like, so you're in. That tour was just such a motherfucker because I mean it was like from start to finish you were just getting your ass beaten and enjoying every single second of it from start to finish. I remember Hatebreed shook confetti out of the rafters from the EDM show that had played in the same room like the night or two before. So that tells you how loud and just thunderous that band is. More to the point, though, about the interview. I mean, we can just keep sucking the dick of this record, and we probably would. If I had a Patreon where I could talk about a record just at length, I probably would do that. But
that's a good idea. You hear that, Joe?
But all that being said, I really enjoyed doing this with Frank, and something I actually want to say, not only for the live feed that we're doing, but also for the podcast people who are listening, if you listen to this part. Frank really went out of his way for this. Not only did he take the time to do this initially, but we had mad audio issues once we were done. And he could have just been like, sorry, tough luck. I'm busy. But he was like, I think my phone was clipping. Let me grab my laptop. Let's do it again. And I was like, that would be greatly appreciated, but you don't have to. And he did. So not only the chat you're hearing is the second one we did. And like I said, he didn't have to do that, and he did. And something that I told him after the fact that I think speaks volumes to who Frank is as a person. My wife and I went to go see Slipknot and Hatebreed many years ago, and long and short of it, my wife got kicked out. And so subsequently, I followed her out as well during the first quarter of the Slipknot set, and I had never seen Slipknot at that point, still haven't. And was one of those things Frank was walking behind us unbeknownst to us at the time and was like, hey man, like, we know we got to this bar, and he was like, hey, like, couldn't help but overhear you, sorry, to hear this, shitty thing happened. Follow me on, this form of social media real quick, and give me your name, and I'll make sure you and your wife are guest listed for tomorrow's show.
Wow.
Again, he didn't have to do that. The show was sold out already, and it was an off-day headlining show, but I think again speaks to the person that Frank is, going above and beyond what he has to make sure things are right, quote unquote. So that's a story that I don't think I've told the story of getting kicked out of the show, I think a couple of times on the podcast, but I've never told the ending of that story. So once again, once he came back on and basically gave me another 30 minutes to chat. And I think it was a better one, honestly, because like we kind of had more of a rapport and just kind of knew what we're going to do. And I kind of abandoned the questions really and just had a conversation, which I know Dan always loves those more, but
I do. I love just going off the rails a little bit.
So it was one of those things for me where it was greatly appreciated. I texted Amy, the publicist, right away and was like, hey, Frank's a sweetheart. He didn't have to do this, but he did. And, I'm very thankful for it. So without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Frank from Hatebreed. We'll talk to you on the other side of it.
Yes. Perfect.
So that was my conversation with Frank from Hatebreed. Again, their upcoming record, Way to the False Self, is out November 27th via Nuclear Blast Records. Still plenty of time to pre-order that record. Get the vinyl. There are so many variants. A lot of limited ones, too. Typically under 300 or less, depending on where you go. I think I have one of the bone variants that I pre-ordered for this. So very much looking forward to adding this to my very small Hatebreed vinyl collection. But that's how good this record is. I got it for free before everybody else. And then I was like, and I need to give them my money now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pony up once I get some money. I'm gonna keep digging in my backyard for buried treasure until I find something really good. So
just play this record, and all the things should just shift their way up.
It'd be really just come from the earth. It's like, wow. Underneath my shed, I found an actual treasure chest, and in it was a vinyl copy of Satisfaction is the Death of Desire. I don't know what happened.
I mean, I have one of those.
Of course you do.
Hey, you know what?
I'll trade you your Korn record for it.
Yeah. No, one of my friends actually was getting rid of a bunch of his vinyl for his wedding, and that's how I picked up a copy of 3750. and satisfaction. So it was really nice to get some of those older hardcore records that I grew up on way back in the day. And I felt good because I didn't have to buy a wedding gift because I contributed technically to the wedding.
There you go.
Kind of in wrapping up, because we're actually going to do our live thing that we typically do on Wednesdays. We have Brandon Kellum from American Standards coming to join us. I have to pretend to hate him just for the sake of that. I always pretend to hate him on all the podcasts over on Discography Discussion.
Absolutely.
Just cheap shots. I mean, it's a the heel babyface.
I was just going to sit back with some popcorn and watch you guys go at it like angry cats that have just been soaked with water.
Well, I mean, Brandon's obviously soaked in something. I mean, you can't call your band after a toilet and not assume that people are just going to, go there. That's why you'll always be number 2.
Yeah. Hey, number 2.
But
sorry, that was a Scrubs joke.
Yeah. All that aside, if you would like to keep up with Hatebreed, it's real simple. Facebook, Hatebreed. Instagram, Hatebreed Official. Twitter, Hatebreed. If you would like to keep up with Frank, Instagram at Florida Frank. Twitter at Frank3Gun. Would love to have that dude back on. Again, it was really easy talking to him. And if you know anything about his career, he is basically a hardcore legend. Has played with some of the best hardcore bands, including Terror at one point. But just a great dude. Really bummed that his Tampa Bay Rays did not pull off the win against the Dodgers. Fuck the Dodgers. But hey, at least they made a series of it, almost pushed it to a Game 7. And we still have college football left. I really want to start a sports podcast with like metal dudes.
With not me. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, no. Like, I mean, I don't think you really follow sports.
I've been guilty of following a baseball game here and there, but that's about the extent of it, really.
Yeah, but I tweeted out actually the other day about something I was going to send to James from 18 Visions about the Bears because he's a Chicago fan, and I was like, okay, we should just have a sports podcast, where I have James and or Frank or any of the other people I know that are into sports that are in bands, and I think that'd be a lot of fun because typically they don't have avenues really to talk about these things, and when they do, you just see like your favorite metal people talking about baseball or football, and you're like, I want more of that. At least I do.
I feel that.
And last but not least, nope, that's not how I want to say that. And Dan will tell you where he can be found on some stuff on the interwebs. We're adding Brandon Kellum.
What's up, guys?
We're finishing We're finishing up our intro outros for the episode dropping on Sunday.
Well, our Hatebreed episode, yeah.
No, you're good. Just be quiet.
Oh, you're good.
Fine.
Oh, you guys are going to just fight like cats. I can't wait. I got to go pop some popcorn for that. But yeah, I was going to tell everybody where I could be found. Well, I can be found on Facebook under Daniel Terry, on Twitter at Discuss Metal Dan. I can be found right here on Twitch as Discuss Metal Dan. So you probably already know that if you're watching this on Twitch. I would hope. And you can find my other 10,000 podcasts at discussmetal.com.
And if you would like to keep up with all things this podcast, it's simple. BruceSpeakPod.com. Landing page for everything. We made some news. We have that section on there. If you want to buy some stuff, that's cool. You can do that. And mainly, the big thing to do, go support our sponsors, which we will start with The Bean Bastard. Someone actually stole their fucking laptop from their brick and mortar they just opened, so fuck that person. And hopefully somebody knows who that cat woman looking person is. I'd
have gone for the coffee if it was me.
We're not sure. Well, they're not sure. I'm still jury's out too. If it was a man or a woman, the jacket's interesting and the only telling piece that they could identify the person by. But fuck that person. Do some good. Go support The Bean Bastard. Go to thebeanbastard.com. Pick up some coffee. On Point Pomade. I actually have some right here, and I finally put it in my hair. Fucking holds really well. OnPointPomade.com. Use our code BSP15. Save 15% off your total purchase order. Get your beard and hair looking on point. Want to thank them. And last but not least, Rockabilia.com. What a great fucking sponsor. We were supposed to actually have Frankie on tonight. Something came up. He wasn't able to do it, but I know we are going to get him on very soon. Love those guys. And if you want awesome merch and you don't want to be worried about, it falling apart or fading away after 2 washes, you don't have to with them. It's all 100% officially licensed. So that means the bands are actually getting a cut of money, which Brandon will tell you when we go to our live feed how much that actually means to bands. And so you're supporting everybody in that situation, including us, Rockabilia, the bands. It's a win-win-win. And who doesn't like winning 3 times over? I know I do. It's called a trifecta. It's called a trifecta, I think, in a track or something like that. I don't know. I don't gamble.
I call it the Charlie Sheen.
And last but not least, you can use our code BREW15 to save 15% off your total purchase order. So thanks so much to Rockabilia, On Point Pomade, and the Bean Bastard Coffee. And for the Brutally Speaking podcast, I am John.
And I am Dan.
We will talk to you all next time. Or if you're watching the livecast, you'll see us right fucking now.
Yeah, we're just going to keep talking, I think. Brandon Kellum is here. Or Thank You, Mario. Or that dude that's in American Standards that baby birded that food into that dude's mouth one time, pre-COVID.
That's going to be my legacy. John, you have some beautiful lighting, sir. That lighting is on par in your setup right now.
Hey, shut up.
That's literally just my light in my room.
Well, it's perfect. Dan looks like he's like in a cave somewhere.
I am in a cave. This is the Dan. This is the Disgust Metal Dan cave. Okay, I do all kinds of. I got all kinds of cool stuff in my cave. Okay, I got a record player behind me. I've got a vintage computer for playing Doom. I've got all the things. Okay.
I've got this clock that makes me look like I'm like a 60-year-old woman or something like that. I've got this whiskey painting, and I've got a corner. I'm just sat in the corner.
I didn't even see the whiskey painting. Now that's good stuff.
See, I don't ever have enough whiskey to have it be photographed or painted. It would just be an empty glass.
Joe's in the chat right now on Twitch. He says, I have so many Amstam vinyls. I think I have 2 Amstam vinyls. I've got Hungry Hands and... No, I just have Hungry Hands. And...
Well, that's 2 more than I have.
I have Hungry Hands on cassette as well. I mean,
I have Hungry
These hands are hungry.
Hell yeah.
Later, buddy.
For beer.
Dude, and you got that classic Artreyu shirt? Hell yeah, dude.
I told him whenever
they
I
reprinted
signed
it. I had to rebuy it in fat boy size because a youth large doesn't fit me anymore.
I hear you, dude. So I went from wearing mediums to sizing up a few years ago. Then I lost a bunch of weight and got rid of all the larges and extra larges I bought. Now, post quarantine, I'm right back to the larges I wish I would have kept.
That's hilarious. I feel that. I've actually recently gone down. Hey, what's up, Alex? Alexander has entered the chat.
By the way, speaking of our last livecast, want to say thank you to Joe from Lightworker for letting Dan know to tell me that this was available for a second pressing. Got this in the mail the other day.
Hell yeah.
That's the real deal. Like, that's, because it's so funny, too, because he sends me the message at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm me, right? So I'm like, he's like, yeah, make sure to send this to John, forward it to John. And I was all like, okay, cool. And then like 10 minutes later, no. It was like 3 hours later. My bad. That's good to know. Alexander just said the Twitch stream is much higher quality than the Facebook stream.
Not
that's
surprised.
cool.
Yeah, not surprising at all, actually.
I mean, Twitch, this is their thing, But no, what I was saying is, so like, he sends me the message at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, "Send this to John." I was like, "Okay, great, I will." And then like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he's like, "Hey, did you send this to John yet? Because one of the variants is sold out." And I was like, "Oh wait, yeah, sorry, this is like really important. Hold on." So I went and sent it to John, and then John's like, "Oh, sweet, thanks. I almost missed that." And I was like, "Oh man, I kind of wish that I would have told him at 6 o'clock in the morning about it." But I don't know. I just assumed that nobody's awake during that time. So
now I get up at 5 o'clock to go to work. So that's great.
Well, also 6 for me is 7 for you. So Brandon's still sound asleep. At 6, it's like what, 4 in the morning?
Yeah, I'm nowhere near waking up at that point.
Here's some heat I just got that a friend of mine gave me for a belated birthday that I think Dan will appreciate. I have cassettes.
Oh, I do appreciate that.
LL Cool J, Janet Jackson Control, Salt and Pepper's Black Magic, the Peace Day Resistance, motherfucking Ice-T Power.
Nice. Beautiful. Do you have a cassette player to play those in, though?
Yep.
Begin the tour.
Yeah, he does. It's all vintage. By the way, Alex, you're the only one who's going to understand this, but I didn't send the message because those Everflows weren't going to fix themselves.
I thought they were even flows. I thought that's what Eddie Vedder used to bitch about.
We call them never flows. They're oxygen concentrators. They break a lot.
They don't concentrate on shit.
They don't concentrate at all, and neither do I. Joe says no crazy, sexy, cool, John.
I have that on vinyl.
Oh, okay. Well, that just makes it all okay.
I mean, legitimately, if my album of the year was what I actually listened to the most, it would probably be Crazy Sexy Cool, Fan Mail, and probably be tossed up between the self-titled Janet Jackson and Rhythm Nation.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Brutally Speaking right here.
Sadly, mine, every time I look at those Spotify like replays of everything you've listened to most, it's always some obscure like sleep artist that I just listen to as ambient music while I'm sleeping. So I just see like 10 people I've never even heard of that I've listened to 8 hours a night for the last like several months.
That's hilarious.
Surprised you don't boost your Earth. What do they call that? What is that called? Play farming or farm plays or something like that.
I'm lost on this one.
Basically, like you just have a bunch of devices playing the same thing to like generate listens or plays for it, but you're not actually.
Okay. So I could just throw American standards on like 5 devices and play them through the night.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that has a term. I just can't remember what it is. I like sound farming.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Might have to look into this.
Well, so speaking of cool things, and one of the reasons I wanted to have Brandon on tonight, other than the fact that we just had a dude straight up cancel on us, and Brandon's kind of my side chick that I call whenever I need things, right
I'm
now.
The second bet.
Yeah. But it's always the safe bet, right? Like, you're the one that eventually I'm going to take down the aisle. You know what I mean? Like, one of these days. I promise I'm not gaslighting you. Just one of these days. But
I don't know how the wife and kids will feel about that, Dan, but if I get to move into this cool man cave you have.
Dude, I got a couch. Like, you see this couch?
I can see it in the background.
This is a great couch. I got everything. I got Godzilla posters.
You got the old retro games? Well, I
got old retro games. I've got like a weird Jake Bannon-esque, thing. I agree with Alexander. He says, I'd hit it. So, give Alex a call if things don't work out between us. But, I do think that, like, it's been really cool. So, Brandon and I, and John, to a little bit of an extent, have all kind of jumped onto this whole like live streaming thing. And for, I don't know, how long have we been doing this, John? Like maybe 6 months now, where we've been just hopping on live. Like one night John was like, why don't we just record our intros and outros as like a live thing once a week? And I was like, oh, okay. And then like I fought John for like almost over a year, being like, I don't want to do Instagram live because
I'm how to do both of us.
Yeah, it was like this, and like Facebook Live, you couldn't do it or whatever. And then so like I eventually, once I got a relatively good setup at home, I decided to start streaming on Twitch. I have a good setup other than the fact that I have no light down here at all. Which is how I prefer it most of the time. I mean, honestly, I kind of enjoy the dark dungeon aspect of it, really. I think it fits what I do very well. But the thing was I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to start a Twitch channel, because like I play games late at night anyway. And originally I had thought that Twitch was really just video games. Like people just played video games on Twitch. And a lot of them do. But then I saw like all the people that are doing just chatting and like just kind of like hanging out
and stuff like that on there, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, dude. Like there was a girl doing body painting, like really cool, like cosplay, like, and just like showing people like how she does it. I thought that was really cool, and like there's been all of this cool stuff. So I was like, well, I guess I'll go ahead and start a Twitch channel, and it'll just be, for the first couple of weeks, it was just like some people would show up that were fans of the podcast, and it was a cool time to just get to like hang out with me. That's not Facebook Messenger, because Messenger, you send a message and it's like, oh, okay, well, he might answer this, like might not, but probably not. So it became kind of a hangout or whatever, and I just kind of kept doing it and was like, I actually see potential for like a lot of cool stuff on this platform. And then like I think it was like maybe 2-3 weeks later, Brandon here was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna start streaming on Twitch, and sure enough, he's there. He's on his PS4. He's playing games. He's playing cool stuff like Friday the 13th and
The least
really
cool stuff on Twitch.
absolutely. But so Brandon, let's make this like an interview kind of. Like what made you decide to start a Twitch? And don't just say that like because I saw you doing it.
No, actually, I was playing this game called Detroit, which I've got all of like 15 minutes in right now. But
Detroit is a great game.
That's what I hear. But so I played about 15 minutes of it, and my friend was watching me play it, and he's like, "This is hilarious. You should go on Twitch." And I've heard of Twitch before, but I didn't realize how easy it is just to get a PS4 camera and start whenever you want. Like, you don't have to have any set. Like, if I want to go on right now, it's going to take me 2 minutes to start streaming. So it's so little effort. So I thought I would give it a try. But going into it the first time, I thought I was going to have to push it like consistent, like with a band, you're going to have to consistently push and promote to get anybody to watch it. The first time I went on there, I had 3 or 4 people like in the chat that I didn't even know that just stumbled across it because the games I've been playing, although they're cool games, they're not super popular games. They're not like, the first person shooter games like Fortnite and Call of Duty and all that. So they have way less like viewers on there and way less people that are playing it. But because of that, you actually get on the first page of results. So all the games I've been playing is just have organic people coming into it. Today was actually the first day that I think I've pushed it on my personal social media to come check it out. And that's the beauty I love of it right now, is just the fact that anytime I want to do it, I can do it. I don't have to plan it with 4 other guys in a band. Like, can you get together to do this, And it does feel like a community. Like, in the same way that being in a band, you connect with other bands, you connect with other people that join your Twitch or their streaming, and they tell you about their channel, and then you go check out their channel. And it really feels like that same community vibe that you get from a band.
Yeah, and like the cool thing about it too is that, like, the people that checked out your channel and like it and like follow you, there's always some sort of connection as far as interests go, and what people, they checked you out because maybe they like the game you're playing, and then they hear you talk and see you on camera or whatever, and fall in love with you and send you creepy stalker messages. No, that hasn't happened to me yet, but yeah, I just do that to Brandon. But like, I think it's really cool that we have that connection. So like for me, I was playing Doom. Doom's like my favorite game, so I just play it all the time, recreationally. And I had some really cool guys raid my channel last week. Violence Obscene. And like Blood of Beast and all of that. And John Beatty has entered the chat. Who's that? Who's J Beatty 616? But yeah, like I think that like it was really, really, really cool seeing that they checked out my channel because they like Doom. And I like Doom. And then it came down to just like, oh cool. Well, not only do they like Doom, but they also like metal. Well, I also like metal, so it just became this thing. And the thing I like about it too is that like a lot of the people that are going to follow you on Twitch are also themselves streamers. So not only do you get the benefit of somebody watching your streams and supporting you in that way, but you also have content that you also might enjoy.
It's like the bands watching bands thing, like.
Totally, yeah.
Stick around for other bands, and they'll stick around for you, and vice versa. No,
it's really cool. It's a totally different vibe too, like you were saying, Brandon. Like because I was telling my wife this today before I came down to do the stream that like, Twitch isn't really like it's not like Facebook and like Twitter and like Instagram or anything like those things. Like you can have a ton of followers and it mean nothing at all.
Yeah.
In the sense that like you can have 1 million followers on those platforms, but when you post something, maybe only like 1% of them actually sees it, or something like that. And
I'm actually curious. So going off of that, Dan, you know more about this than I know about it. I'm like 2 weeks in at this point. So every time someone goes live, sometimes I feel like I get emails or like notifications, and sometimes I don't. I don't understand why. So are you saying like every time someone goes live that you're following, do they get like a push, like go check out this or something?
Yeah, like I see that throughout the day. I don't always get a notification though. I should.
I don't get the algorithm for it yet, but
Yeah, like I'll periodically check it, and like a lot of the times, like you'll be streaming or one of my other friends will be streaming, but like for the most part, it's been very kind of hit or miss. I know when I first started streaming, because like the very first time you stream on Twitch, you're like texting your friends, being like, "Hey, can you hop on my stream or whatever?" You know, because you're dumb and you think it works like Facebook, right? Like, so like the more people that are watching, you know, maybe that means that you're going to come up better in search results, but like it doesn't actually work that way. You know, it really doesn't work that way at all. Twitch, it's really just about what game you're playing and how discoverable you are with that game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what I kind of feel like right now. Like, I mean, like I said, a week and a half in, so I've got very little context. But I feel like the only edge I've had is I'm not playing like the game where everybody, like thousands of people are playing that one game. So where I first started getting people starting to tune in was I started doing like UFC just had that pay-per-view last weekend. So I was like, well, I'm just going to take that pay-per-view and recreate these fights on UFC 3. So from that, I had like 100 people that like jumped on that. And I know you were on there and Joe was on there. And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, pretty active chat. And like, it was just, you know, a lot of fun going through that. And then I'm like, well, this works. So let me do the same thing with the WWE, with the pay-per-view they just had for Hell in a Cell. So I've been just trying to take those like kind of games that I already had, but topical for the moment. Today, I just did the Friday the 13th one because I'm like, well, Halloween, you know, not a lot of people are streaming this game. I think there's 3 people streaming that game.
Have they fixed any of the bugs on that fucking thing yet?
Friday the 13th? Well, I will say, so I
Yeah.
tried to jump online during the middle of the stream because I was just playing the whatever story mode.
Oh,
And
okay.
it took probably
Not find a server at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it took like 3 minutes and didn't find anybody, so I just gave up on it. But I've played online with like Dead by Dawn and stuff, and that game always seems to work pretty well for online. I'm jealous though, personally of what you're doing though, Dan, because what you're doing is like originally the reason why I called it Thank You Mario was because I wanted to play retro games. And as you know, starting a band, starting a website, every single name is taken. So like when I was thinking of names, I was trying to think of things.
What, Altered Beast 6969 wasn't around?
Yeah, right.
Welcome to your doom.
I was trying to think of games, like things that happened in games that would annoy me as a kid. And the first thing I thought of was that goddamn dog from Duck Hunt. But I couldn't think of a way to make that a username. So
why didn't you just call it the goddamn dog from Duck Hunt?
Just make it a long ass acronym that makes no fucking sense to anybody.
GDDHD.
The world is a beautiful place. I'm no longer afraid to die.
Duck Hunt Dog. Actually, that should have been your name, Duck Hunt Dog.
Duck Hunt Dog. So the next
DHD.
thing I thought of,
I think I'm gonna steal that.
Was this Thank You Mario thing, which was essentially like, you know, when you're playing Mario and you beat the first world and you get to the castle and Toad's like, you know, oh, thank you, Mario, but the princess is in another castle. So that for some reason that stuck with me. I'm like, that's got to be taken, and it wasn't taken, so that's why I picked the name. But now it doesn't make any sense because I'm using this name and I'm not streaming retro games. So I'm thinking about rebranding it, but for now I'm.
Here's your name. Rebrandon.
Rebrandon. That sounds like a MySpace name almost.
Well, I think that like for me, it's funny because like you started messaging me a little bit after you started your channel, and I was like, you know, you were like, dude, I think it's really genius how you're like, you know, picking games that are like da 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 da. And I didn't know how to tell you this, but like, there's really no rhyme or reason behind what games I pick. I'm just like really old, and a lot of the games that I like are old as well. Like I said, Doom is my favorite game, and I could absolutely stream like the new Doom games, you know, that have come out because I played those and I like those or whatever. But I just don't feel like I'm really good enough to be playing them on stream. So, I've basically just been streaming new old games like that Crystal Caves.
That one looked cool. I like that.
Yeah, you can buy that game on Steam for like $7. You know what I mean? So it is a new game, but it's a remake of an old game. And like last night, I was like, man, I'm really bored. You know what I haven't played in a long time? Rogue Squadron. Like, you remember the N64 Star Wars Rogue Squadron? Well, that's available, on PC. And I was like, screw it, man. I'm going to play Rogue Squadron right now because that's what I want to play. And I'm just going to stream it because maybe somebody else might, be like, oh, cool. So-and-so is playing Rogue Squadron. That's one of my favorite games, And so, yeah, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason. I think when I first started, I was on a schedule. So it was like Mondays and Thursdays, I'm going to be streaming on Twitch from this time, until I get too tired. I haven't fallen asleep on a stream yet, but I'm sure it's going to happen. Don't rule it out.
A market for that.
Yeah, it'd just be this, like 8 hours of this.
Yeah, it's this ASMR of Dan sleeping.
I actually have seen that. If you go to YouTube, there's a compilation of Twitch streamers that have fallen asleep on their streams.
I don't get so the majority of people on Twitch seem like they stream, like they'll be like 6-hour stream, 12-hour stream, 24-hour stream. I'm at like the 45-minute mark. I'm like, all right, later guys, deuces.
Well, you remember when Joe from Ice Nine Kills did a 24-hour stream of him sitting on his balcony in his apartment? And like legitimately at one point I checked in because following Patrick and all them on Twitter, he was just like, there's like 60 people legit watching Joe sleeping on his balcony. Which further proves the point. I mean, Truman Show was like way ahead of its time.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I will say this to like going into Twitch, like I hadn't really streamed a lot of people prior to actually streaming myself. So, I mean, almost the same arc of me being in a band. I hadn't been to a lot of shows before I started playing shows myself. So, like, I'm struggling to find out, like, what is my niche in this? Because I remember as a kid having a brother that's 10 years older, and the worst thing in the world was to sit there and watch him play a game. It was like, let me play this game. I don't want to watch you play a game. So totally. I'm trying to figure out, like, how I can add, like, some type of entertainment or value to people that are coming. And I think the chat is it, Once you get a chat that's interactive, then people want to stick around because the game's a background to hanging out,
Well, it's funny you say that because like I kind of had wanted to start doing it as well because typically I just play sports games and I play with like one of my friends like Frank that I know Dan knows who it is, but it's like my friend Frank that tour manages and TMs and all that shit and was in the band The World We Knew. And we would play UFC and I would just get beaten the fuck up typically.
Dude, do you have UFC 3?
No, because I got rid of my EA pass. Actually, I might still have it. I don't know.
If not, we can play it. Continue. Sorry.
Okay, I'm not super great at that one. I even lose against the computer. But the stand up and just like the boxing version, basically just stand up and brawl. Like I fucking love doing that. And even if I get my ass whooped, it's still fun. Yeah. But it was a thing where like typically I just play sports games because I don't know, like they hold the replayability when you're playing by yourself.
Yeah,
which is typically what I do. But I started doing Last of Us 2 and was getting to the point where I had basically just started the game. I think I was only 2 hours into the game, so I really hadn't gone too much into the game. And I got it to work, but I couldn't get like a camera to work because I was under the impression I could just hook up literally this camera to my PlayStation or through the computer while it connects to the PlayStation or whatever. I don't know. Like all that shit confuses me.
Brandon, you do it with your phone, don't you?
I just do it with the PS camera. So it's like that.
Oh, okay.
PS camera. Yeah.
All right.
But okay. But maybe when I get my Xbox in like 2 weeks from today, I'll stream from my new Xbox. But it was a thing where I started playing the game and I was like, this actually probably is really boring to fucking watch because all it's gonna be is me just being like, oh shit. And if anyone's like talking to me, I'm probably gonna pause the game and be like, shut the fuck up.
And that's how you get no followers on Twitch.
I mean, I don't know. To me, like I almost feel like when you watch some of this, like I think Ronnie Radke does one, and I swear I don't ever see him playing games. Maybe he plays Modern Warfare. I guess I don't know, but it just seems like half the time most of these people don't even fucking play video games. But I guess it's not really what Twitch is anymore. And I think kind of speaks to sort of what all of us are trying to figure out between musicians, podcasters, whatever is. What's the platform that I guess gives us the most engagement and the most fun for what we want to do with it? Like, coincidentally, I have been thinking of trying to find a way to streamline listeners for the podcast. Like we're everywhere, but seemingly you still find people who, well, you're not on this like podcast app that probably has like fucking 10 people using it. Like, oh, you don't, what was Vero? Oh my God, you're not on Vero. You don't have the podcast on Vero. So I I can't, fuck me, I guess. And I'm sure it's the same with the bands. Like people are like, oh, you're not on, old MySpace websites.com, so I can't, find you on my Zanga page anymore. So fuck you. And it's just like at a certain point, it's like, how wide of a net do you need to cast anymore? And coincidentally, in thinking about this, Doc Coyle posted today that he's basically only putting his podcast on YouTube. If you want to hear it, that's it. And that was actually something I had thought about putting it on because everyone can access YouTube. Doesn't matter if you have an Android, an iPhone, if you're on a computer, like you can get YouTube.
Is that for the X-Men podcast?
Yeah.
Nice.
And so was a thing too between the videos and shit that he's probably doing with Zoom and or whatever app he's using, is a thing where it kind of makes more sense just to be like, fuck it. I'm not going to be in a million places. I'm going to be in one place. And I'm going to make it real fucking simple and easy. But then even when I was talking to Dan, he's like, yeah, but I don't know. Like if you want to do that. Because the other thing too that I thought was really interesting about that idea is like this thing we're on, this costs money. SoundCloud, that costs money. The website that we have, that costs money. So it's like if you just streamline and go straight to fucking YouTube, that doesn't cost anything. You can upload as fucking much as you want.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
And part of me was like, good.
Yes, I agree with you. However, one thing that I have found, this is kind of the revelation that I've had this year in 2020 is that like
2020 sucks.
Besides that, I'm going to be real with you guys. 2020 hasn't sucked that much for me.
It has taken so much from me. I fucking hate this year.
I know. I joke with my wife all the time that like 2020 brought everybody down to my level. As far as like,
I'm so sorry, Dan. I don't think I could do it.
I know, dude. I'm the originator of that meme that was like some dude stole my identity the other day. He called me crying, and I just said, "Look, dude, I know it's gonna be okay." Like it's like for me, it hasn't been that terrible of a year. I've been able to do a lot of really cool things, and but I guess for me, I started realizing that like so I did discography discussion. I still do discography discussion.
I used to too.
Yeah, John does it sometimes. Brandon does it sometimes. Like it's
nice,
just a thing that we
Hedberg
it's a thing that
reference there.
We've all done discography discussion, right? Like,
No.
But like,
Still waiting for my invite.
yeah, okay, John. But yeah, I think that Asley dying episode just hit like 1,500 downloads or something.
Jesus.
But anyway, like, yeah. It's like the worst episode ever, but like what I'm getting at is that like I feel like I realized early on that like doing the podcast, the discography discussion, discuss metal, and brutally speak that other podcast I'm on, brutally speaking, like I realized that like it wasn't enough to just put the podcasts out there and just wait to be discovered. Like it wasn't doing enough. Like we have our fans, we have our listeners, and I appreciate every single one of them. But I do think, and also especially I appreciate Jeremy Prince, who told me to tell you hello, Brandon. He is unfortunately unable. Yeah, Jeremy's unable to make the stream tonight, but you are his favorite podcast guest. You are probably the world's greatest professional podcast guest.
No, I'm not, because by this time, so many podcasts, I should have got a mic. I should have some headphones on. There's a lot more I should have done as a podcast guest.
It's your no shit given attitude that everybody loves.
There you go.
But do you think that like I do think that I realized that I had to like diversify kind of what my output was, because I feel like let's be real, the point of doing a podcast, at least for me, was I always, I grew up, kind of really following a lot of really big name, like internet personalities, like Joe Rogan, like James Rolfe, Jason from Metal Jesus Rocks. Like I love those guys, and they have become career content creators, right? And I don't think that I'm ever going to necessarily reach the level that they have reached, but I've always been really intrigued with the idea of doing content creation as a full-time job. And I realized I'm never going to actually be able to do that if all I do is do my audio podcasts and hope that somebody, reaches out to it. So in 2020, I was just like, you know what I need to do? I'm going to go on Twitch. I'm playing video games late at night anyway. So it's not like a huge strain on my soul or anything, like that I'm going to have to do all this extra work in addition to the work that I do anyway, which is like scheduling interviews and doing things like that. But I have found that like the thing that people enjoy the most about listening to a podcast is that podcasts are run by people like us, in that like there aren't that many podcasts where it's their full-time job. So we're much more approachable. You can send me a message right now and I'll probably respond to it. Whereas like if you're a fan of a band or a movie star, or if you're John, they won't just respond immediately to what you know what I mean? Because like they're just inundated with tons and tons of messages. And so I wanted to take that approachability to like the next level and just basically spend a good amount of my time being available to people. And on top of that, also kind of increasing in finances. So like Brandon, you work in banking. I used to work in banking. The dumbest thing that you can do is put all your eggs in one basket. So what I see with, somebody like Doc being like, I'm going to put all of my stuff on YouTube. That's putting your eggs in one basket. And you don't want to just put everything in one place, because what happens when YouTube stops being relevant? What happens when Facebook stops being relevant? What happens when Twitter stops being relevant? Instagram, like down the line, like it will happen. Like we used to think, like I remember thinking that MySpace was invincible. That like MySpace was never going to go away. It was the biggest thing ever. People launched their careers on MySpace. And now it's gone. It doesn't exist in any real way anymore. And I just wanted to diversify myself enough to where if the podcast crash and burn, like if John's like, dude, we only get 2 downloads per episodes, and I'm pretty sure that's me and you. There, yeah, I saw you use your Moody's medicinals, John. Right there. I also have my own Moody's medicinals right here. These do not have THC in them.
Is this a cheap plug for a sponsor here?
Yeah, right. But no, like I guess the point is that was a really long drawn out thing, and that's Twitch. We like to stream for multiple hours at a time. But like I feel like you have to diversify, because if all of these platforms go away, I want to at least have had an equal impact on each of the platforms, so that if the podcast crash and burn, I can still be me as a Twitch streamer, and people that want to talk to me and see what I have going on are going to be also they're still going. I'm always going to. What I'm trying to say is I'm going to always exist in some capacity in this online space, and that is 100% why I disagree with Doc going directly to, or going only to YouTube. Is I think you have to diversify your streams. It's stupid to just have one bank account and put all your money into that bank account.
You better watch out. I know Brutally Speaking is heavily listened to by all the media outlets. And you may have just made a headline there, Dan, that Dan from Discography Discussion disagrees with Doc Coyle. And that's going to be all over the lamb goats.
I wouldn't necessarily count on that being a headline, but, I guess anything's possible, right?
Yeah, no. I honestly,
John, oh my God, with the sponsorship. Jesus.
Yeah. No, we've talked about
Is that a good company?
The American Standards approach, and what I'm doing with Twitch too, is pretty much the same, which is like contrary to the approach of being in one place. I think like if you have enough of following, you can, like if you're Joe Rogan, you can say I'm only gonna be on Spotify, and if people want to listen to him, they'll get Spotify. But if you're like small, like I am, or just like podcasts or whatever, I think for me it's better to be a big fish in a small sea to try to compete with everybody on YouTube or everybody on Spotify. Or like when you mentioned Vero, John, that's a good example. Like when Vero first came out, I was there for that first month, and we made so many people like ads that still follow us today off of Vero because
Is it still around in
I
some
don't
capacity?
know. It probably is in some capacity, but I'm definitely not active on there. But in that month, we had so many people that are like crossing over and finding out about us because there wasn't, thousands of bands on there. And then very quickly there was, and very quickly it failed. But being that big fish in a small sea definitely helped us. And I think
we were on there for a little while.
Yeah, I think you guys were. The same approach with Twitch is like, I'm not streaming, I don't know, PUBG or Call of Duty, because anybody that's streaming that is streaming because it's a huge personality already. It's like a ninja or something like that everybody knows, or it's someone that just has really, really good, skillful gameplay. And I'm neither of those. I'll never compete with any of those people.
Same.
But
Yeah.
But if I'm like on some small game that not a lot of people are playing, maybe they'll be willing to learn about me as a person. And then just like you said, Dan, after they figure that out, then I'll play some other random game that they've never even heard of, and they may follow me to that. Because it's the same with podcasts. I mean, the majority of podcasts I listen to, I pick and choose the ones that have guests that I enjoy. And then after I listen to a few of those, if I enjoy the hosts, I like go on a limb and listen to someone that's a guest that I might even not care about, but then find a new respect in them because I actually like the host.
Yeah, and then sometimes if you're a podcaster, you hear someone on a show and you're like, how did this person get this? And I got turned down. Although there is one.
Yeah, I feel that a lot.
If we fucking pull off the one that I requested tomorrow or yesterday.
I'm not doing press right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's even worse because I text people because I have numbers and then they blow you off and then they're on someone else's show like a week later and you're like, thought we weren't didn't want to talk to anybody. I see you. Circle of trust.
Uh-oh.
No,
yeah,
actually,
I'm texting on my own stream. Sorry,
that's fine. Excuse me. I mean, here's a fun thing. So, like, my wife actually was watching the Letterman interview with Kim Kardashian from a few years ago. That's on Netflix now again, and it still is interesting to think of, and it's something, I've actually been trying to get someone in the adult entertainment industry on to talk about this. And I'm not going to give away necessarily my angle in case someone else tries to do it and take my idea. But long and short of it, everyone is a brand now. Like, yeah, I'm shilling bullshit that I got for free, which I actually use. I actually have not sold out NWO, WCW sold out. I've not done that. At this point, because I still want the things that we use to apply to what we are. I mean, I think we can all say that we were all scene kids at some point in the early 90s, early 2000s. So why wouldn't you want to use some kind of a fucking hair product to keep your hair up or whatever? Or, now we're the bearded tough guy dudes, not me, but like you guys. So why wouldn't you want to use a beard oil? Like it's something that you would want to use. But even the coffee, like someone was like, why do you have a fucking coffee thing? Like you guys don't really talk about coffee. I was like, it's the drummer from It Dies Today. Totally fits. It works. So, but it's funny that everyone now, because of social media, has become somewhat of a brand. I mean, I went to dinner a couple months ago at a rooftop bar just because a friend was working, and it was cool. But like there were legit people who were taking like put on a shawl and then like changed their hats and did some other shit, glasses on, glasses off, and like took like 17,000 photos of them eating like clams. Sure. And I was just like, eat your fucking meal, enjoy being on this rooftop. Like you don't have to take a million photos that you're going to post potentially in over the course of the next month for your fans. Like no one gives a fuck. Just enjoy your time. Yeah. And it's weird how like social media has made us all feel like we have to present something that straight up. So
nosedive, right? This is the Black Mirror episode, pretty much. This is our step further into social media.
So like the sort of interesting, and I know Dan was sort of making a joke about it, but it's like 2020 has been probably one of the most lopsided years for me in a very long time. Like I literally started the year off putting my dog down on New Year's Day. That fucking sucked. And it sucked for a while. And then I got a puppy. And then that was pretty cool. My job was okay. I got a better job I just started. But as soon as like I got the job and I was like celebrating getting the job, my uncle died. Then like when I'm celebrating, like, okay, like it was my last day at work. I get a phone call literally on our way out to go to the bar and have a couple of drinks. Hey, your friend that you used to work with just died. And it's like for any good, it's marred by something exponentially horrible, and is one of those things where I've been pretty open about all of it. Like, I mean, especially, you know, in relation to the podcast, like some people are like, oh, I can't believe you got a podcast done. I'm like, well, because it was already done. So it wasn't hard to post something I already had done.
Yeah.
But I'm also not talking about it on the podcast necessarily, but on my socials, some people are like, well, I can't believe like you're, you know, on Twitter, like someone was like, oh, it seems like you're doing a lot worse than it seems like you're doing on Facebook. And I was like, yeah, I mean, my uncle and my friend dying like 2 weeks apart, like that's fucking horrible. And it's not something that, you know, I want to necessarily go on Facebook where everybody sees it and burden them all with my shit. Twitter is a nice, like, fucking faceless void where I can just say whatever because most people aren't on it. And it's interesting to me, like, I've learned through a friend in a completely different facet. He posts different social media stuff, so you are inclined to follow him on it all because you might see the beginning of a story on Facebook, but then you see something cooler on the Instagram story. Then if you follow him on Snapchat, you see even more behind the scenes shit. So he has really utilized social media to kind of create a full picture of what he's doing. Me, I utilize each one for a different thing. Facebook is just kind of what it is. I wish I could get rid of it. Twitter, I like a lot more because I feel like it's because you're limited. You kind of have to be a little more on, or you can be completely raw and vulnerable. And they all work. Like all of those things work because you only have a very small cross section of what you're doing that you can put out. And to me, I think that's been the thing I've always loved about Twitter is I feel like you see a more realer, truer presentation of who people really are on Twitter versus anything else. Personally.
I agree.
For Twitter, I feel like I'm streaming into the void. Like I get so little feedback on that. To me,
but isn't that freeing though?
Yeah, no,
because no one's commenting on anything. Like if you were to post maybe half the shit you do on Facebook that you would on Twitter, and you would like, case in point, like there was one day I made a post. I was like, man, having a real rough day. Like it's just a rough day. I was hungover. As fuck, and I was just rough shape. But I had so many people reach out to me, like texting me and sending me messages like, "What are you okay? What's wrong?" And I'm like, nothing. I'm hungover. But like I could put that on Twitter and no one would say shit. Yeah. And so I kind of forgot what medium I was using. And so as a result, it just became this thing where I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to take that down. And I can't share certain things on Facebook anymore unless I'm ready and willing to take on these other parts of it. But again, it's almost like we're curating our brand or our lifestyle that we're presenting to people. And it's just so weird. I'm wondering when that will change. Like, I don't remember the influencer that had all of her Instagram followers taken away or whatever, but she's like, I have no skill. I have no job. This is how I make my money. And it's like, you fucking get a skill. Like being you isn't a skill. Everyone can be themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a fine line because like, I'm definitely going that route in the sense of like, I'm just going to be myself, and people that like Discuss Metal Dan will watch his stuff and do his, you know, like all that or whatever. But like at the same time, like that stuff's not all going to last forever.
But even you have made the comment on both podcasts actually about how people have commented to you about how you're not the same, quote unquote, not the same on Brutally Speaking as you are on Discuss Metal, and that maybe even, or I'm sorry, on discography discussion. And I'm actually wondering if you've heard between the three now you have, if people are like, well, Discuss Metal isn't quite Brutally Speaking you, but it's also not quite discography discussion Dan either. So there's like a weird, like Hydra triple-headed monster of Dan for the different versions of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like here, like I'll be the first one to say that I don't think that like any of those three are not valid. They're all me. It's just different facets of it. Like, I'm never gonna like come on Brutally Speaking and be like, Pantera is my favorite band. I think that they are incredible, you know, or anything like that. What's that?
Drag the waters some more.
Okay, yeah, I'll drag the waters. Joshua Toomey's new podcast, Drag the Waters podcast. You guys should go check that out, where he interviews current and former members of Pantera and people associated with the Pantera camp. All in
Brandon,
one podcast.
You want to start an ETID
podcast? One destination, and I'll take my $5 donation now, Mr. Toomey. Thank you.
Look out for Brandon and I's new podcast called Drag the Lake. It's Every Time I Die podcast.
There you go.
Guess I gotta start the Zayo podcast now. But like, I think
That's
it's called
discography
discussion. Yeah. You know, I think that like I've always, and this is part of what I was talking about earlier about like diversifying, is that like on Brutally Speaking, it's almost like a more professional job where I have to like kind of put on like a button down shirt and a collar and be professional, you know, to a certain degree, because we are working closely with industry people. And so there are times where, you know, things that I would say on discography discussion, like, this record is total garbage. I don't know what they were thinking. Why would they do this? You know, why would they do this to me personally? You know, like this, I'm very offended. You know, discography discussions audience enjoys that kind of more fanboy aspect. You know, like fanboy Dan gets his feelings hurt, gets upset about things, goes on rants, things like that.
This is your gimmick, really, like professional wrestling. You got gimmicks.
It's not a gimmick. I mean, it's not a gimmick in the sense of like it is how I actually feel. But I think
also in professional wrestling, every good gimmick is like a personification of like just
cranked up to 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it's not that those aren't real emotions, real genuine. It's a legitimate part of my personality. But I'm Brutally Speaking, I'm not going to tell an industry person, you know, like, hey, the record you're promoting is trash. Like, I know it's your job, and like, you know, I'm just not going to do that.
Dan, let me give you and you know what? I'm going to give a little bit of a secret. Dan and I talk about this shit all the time in our messenger. I just want to point this out. So if you do listen to this podcast, if you ever hear me say this, this is why. So the fans I've been noticing have been saying that they don't like the new sound, or they don't like, it's never you. It's never the person that's interviewing. It's your fans or the online people.
Is that's what you told the singer of 6 Feet Under for their new album? That's
a Dan thing. I don't listen to 6 Feet Under.
Neither do I
anymore.
I listened to the new album just because I was curious about all the buzz. And oh my,
it's terrible.
Dan, did you see that meme of a bum using a computer and they're like Chris Barnes looking at all the hate comments?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he has been in every comment section, man. That's like his full-time job now.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Dude, you know it's a bad sign when you put on a new record and your record label turns off the comments on the video. It's not a good sign for record sales. But I
got to wrap up here in just a second because it's about 8 o'clock and I have to pee so hard right now. And also,
sure thing, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys always having me on here, and I'm looking forward to. So I didn't catch John. Are you actually on Twitch streaming too? Outside of the podcast,
I'm figuring it out. This sounds so lame. And actually, one of my friends has been trying to get me to do more of me just doing the podcast. Like, here's me editing it. Here's me prepping for an interview. And I'm like, no one fucking wants to see that.
Yeah.
People do, though.
Fuck no, they don't.
No, they do, though. Like, there's tons of channels out there like that, like editing my podcast or editing my YouTube channel. Like, people watch that stuff.
No. I have... The likelihood of me doing that is as strong of a likelihood as me calling the show clickbaity, because that will never fucking happen.
We can still do finger tats and neckbeard present.
Yeah, but no, I've been trying, but like I am trying to find the balance of not burning Dan out on doing podcast stuff, but still getting ahead. So if we don't want to do something for a week or something happens, like it's fine. But then I'm scheduling interviews. I'm prepping for interviews. Like I have an interview tomorrow, as long as everything pans out, with Wade from Alexis on Fire to talk about the movie that he scored of Jay Baruchel's, that horror movie coming out.
That's cool.
And so like I've been like I've been texting with a friend. I had him come over and listen to the record, and I was like, so I'm thinking it sounds kind of like the influences are this, like these 5 or 6 influences I've heard on soundtracks and composers and scores. Am I out of line? Like, I know that's more your realm of listening to movie scores and so forth. And he's like, no, yeah, absolutely. I hear like this person and so on and so forth. It's a wide array of things, but that took some time to sit down with someone and be like, okay, like just so I can ask one question.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, I do think, to Dan's point, there are a lot of people, especially like graphic designers, that just get on there and they just talk through what they're doing. So maybe there's a market for that.
But I think that's at least a little more exciting, because like when you're done, there's literally a drawing or something visual you can see. Whereas like my podcast is like, and I'm done, and you can't hear it for 2 more weeks.
Yeah. But then again, like the other side of that, so I mean, my whole approach on Twitch right now is I'm not pushing it like hard on my personal pages. I'm not making a schedule or anything. I'm doing it as much or as little as I want. And I'm not like to Dan's point, I guess I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. It's just complementary to what I already do. And I think for you guys, and Dan and I talked a little about this on the stream yesterday that him and Joe joined, like, to me, it would be cool if one of you guys just got on and you're like, all right, I've got some time to jump on Twitch. I know my friend from XYZ band is also like free that night. Let's get on. One of us picks a game. We play a co-op game and we go through a very loose interview, like not a standard interview, but in the background, you've got the game playing. You have a reason why that game was playing because someone chose it out of those two people. And then you're just talking to each other like freeform, you know, and it doesn't have to be an hour long. It doesn't have to be like a set, like, you know, let's get from point A to point B. Just like you're both going to play that game. You're both friends and you're like also complimenting what you do in the interview space in a different format, you know?
Totally.
Yeah, I feel like the games that I like to play are, like I said, like right now, Last of Us 2 is a big one that I'm trying to work my way through, but I don't feel like because it's so in my head, like I'm listening to it, like, you know, when the controller with headphones, that I'm probably not going to really pay attention to people. I'm just going to play and probably be like, oh shit, by myself.
But you just say you like the competitive game, so like, I mean,
but
like UFC and like if you're playing Madden or something, and you just jumped on and said, okay, me and so from this band are going to get on and play some Madden or play some FIFA or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I played some dude and he said he was streaming it and I found him. He's like, oh, dude, so many people are watching. And he had like 2 people watching and I was one of them. And like it was a close game down to the last.
I mean, that happens.
2K, and then like we played another game and like he beat the brakes off me. But at that point, I was just like, I'm not going to quit. I don't care. Like I'm not always going to be the best fucking person at every game. Like it's unrealistic, but like it's fun. I mean, one of my favorite things in UFC is just to talk shit. So like when you like fucking knock someone out and you're like, sit the fuck down, little boy. Holy shit. Let me like, oh, look at that. But like, I actually think it would be
with Wade from Alexis on Fire. I'm going to tune in.
See, I actually think what I want, like, I want to,
or I could just be on it.
I was talking to, speaking of good company, I was talking to Nathan Mowry, who works for AEW and does Kind Punk Films. So, like, all the stuff for DDP Yoga and the Fozzy videos and shit. And we were talking last night, or texting last night, and because he sent me a photo of him playing something with Sting, like literally Sting in his makeup and all that shit. They were playing an N64. I was like, please tell me you're playing WCW NWO Revenge, because that would just make my life. And he goes, nah, the controllers were just like there as props. You're just bullshitting. I was like, fuck. But then I got to thinking, I was like, how dope would it be to like go back and play like RJ City, like one of my favorite independent wrestlers, has been going through and trying to do the perfect Royal Rumble from one of the old like late 80s, early 90s WWF games. Yeah. And so like he's been going through with each character and he's like, oh, I got fucking Bastion Booger. Like who the fuck wants this dude? And then, you know, like whatever, but like, it's kind of fun watching those games and playing. And like, I think it'd be kind of fun to be like, all right, we're going to like just do Bash at the Beast matches, like dream matches. Like, okay, Jericho versus like Juventud Guerrero or La Parca, or like we're only doing cruiserweights and it's a first blood match. Like, so even though that's not a stipulation, like as soon as like you get someone to bleed, it's like, all right, done. I won. So, I mean, like, it's things like that like, I think those would be fun, but I also don't know who the fuck would even care. And like I said, I'm so busy doing so much of the, like, and Dan will attest, I do probably bug him to death where I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm prepping for this, I might get this didn't pan out, whatever. Yeah. And then I'm trying to also have like my marriage and then, you know, play these things that I just fucking spent a lot of money on.
Well, I think it comes back down to, so like, if you're not planning it as something on top of all that, it's just something you were going to do anyways, and it makes sense.
But then I feel like something to work. I'm like, I'm going to get on Twitch.
Yeah. Fair. I feel like if Dan's going to play for 2 hours a night anyways, he might as well stream it, even if 2 people are only watching. But if he has to sacrifice like getting on for 2 people to watch as opposed to hanging out with his kids or doing his podcast or whatever it is, then that's a story.
Like, look at dudes like Jeremy Prince. Like, I love that dude because he watches all my streams, and that's like our time to hang out. Like, we've become like friends, you know, through this, and it's cool just to get to hang out with him. Like, so for me, it's worth it, like 100%. You know, just to do that, because it's like, even though nobody likes watching their big brother play a game, it was cool when your friends came over and you got to show them a new game.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, it's very much like that. So,
and you know, I do think I don't think I'm going to get to this point, but if I like remember the feeling when you played a show and like actually a dozen people showed up. And every single person in that crowd mattered so much, and you were so excited. I feel like something big happened. But then
You have to screenshot that, John.
To close that statement, it's like the other side of that is if this gets so big and hundreds of people are following or thousands of people are following, and the chat's going so active that you can't keep up, I don't know that it's going to mean as much anymore. Like to me, like it's cool when a dozen people are in the chat talking, but when I can't keep up with it anymore, I don't know it's going to be the same feeling, you know?
Yeah, totally.
I know. Anyways, well, I got to go, guys. I really appreciate you guys always being really cool and supportive. Dan.
Yeah, Brandon, thank you.
You guys always, you guys are awesome, man. And then John, that lighting. And I'm eyeing the toys you got in the background. Real quick, what do you have back there? Is it a Mesa Boogie and a?
So, yep, that's a Mesa. Fuck. There we go. So, there we go. Mesa Boogie slanted 4x12. I just bought this EVH 5153 with the EL 34s in it. So, right before everything happened, and then I bought. These are all my. God damn, I'm terrible with this. These are all my ESPs. My EC 1000. Nope, wrong way again. And I opened a drawer. Vintage black, EC 1000, and then the one next to it's the is the nice. So the sound.
Is it plan to start a band, or are you recording some solo stuff? What are you doing here with all this nice equipment?
He's gonna start a SoundCloud rap career.
Yeah, actually, but no. So like, my buddy Tyler, who I posted about earlier, Tyler Strotzel, he was like, "Yo, so I got a dude I know you like ESPs, dude selling his EC 1000 for his dog's upcoming surgery." That person ended up being Vincent from the Acacia Strain, and I was like, "Why the fuck does Vincent have a guitar?" And so this was Vincent's. I don't think it's. I mean, based on how it looked when I got it, I don't think he's ever played it.
Yeah,
there's lots of metal singers that play guitar. Anyway,
I know, but this thing plays like a dream. And then I had him put the Cliff Switch Fishmans in it, which they are phenomenal. So this has now become my go-to EC 1000. And then I was looking at buying a 7-string. And
jeez. I think you might just be a gearhead. You're buying more guitars than you have time to play, man.
I've actually been playing a lot more though, as a result. But I ended up picking up this 7-string EC 407 from Andrew from the Ghost Inside. He was like, "I got this thing. I can't really play it because I have a Kiesel sponsorship. Sell it to you for like $200."
Jeez,
nice.
Deal, man.
So,
well, I'm looking forward to the SoundCloud album here. I don't know how that ties into playing guitar, but
well, hey man, thanks a lot. We'll do this again sometime soon, and you and I will have to hook up and do some co-streams.
I'm looking forward to seeing some more of those retro games on your stream, dude. And appreciate you joining mine, and also just having me on this on Brutally Speaking podcast. Have a good one, guys.
You too, man. Have a good night.
Then there were two.
Right. I'm gonna stop screaming. Stop streaming. Okay.
Oh, okay. Do you want to stop streaming on this?
Yeah, we're done. Everybody go to bed. The show's over.
You want to talk about that text I got?
I do.
All right. Well, I'll end this then.
All right.
So thanks for watching. I think next Wednesday, I think Frankie from Rockabilly will be joining us. He and I were texting last night. I think Wednesday's going to work. Otherwise, cheap plug. I know she's not going to be watching this. I am making my way through the Unfuckwithable, A Guide to Inspired Badassery by Lindsay Manfredi. Sorry. Lindsay Manfredi. Go back, listen to that podcast. We kind of talk about it because at the time she was still finishing the book. It wasn't officially finished at the point. It's one of those, I started reading it, and actually the day I got the book, it was a par for the course this year. Real bad fucking year. Real bad day I was having, actually. So started reading this book, and there was some stuff in it that just kind of made me want to drag myself out of it. It's what little bit of it I've been reading, because unfortunately I'm someone who really likes to dedicate the time to give something a fair shake. So with a book, obviously I don't want to be distracted by, I got 10 minutes, I'll read a couple pages, then I'm going to go do something else, and then, whatever. So I want to have her come back on and talk about the book. It's been really cool to see so many people take something from the book. But the other thing is I want Dan to read it, so when we talk to her, we're able to actually talk about the book in depth. So I don't know if I can hurry up and finish this and then have Dan like mail it to Dan to read, or
just
there's-
you know, take pictures of every single page and send them to me.
well, I was going to see if maybe there was like a media PDF that she could send to you, so at least like we could read it at the same time, and then be like, hey, in 2 weeks we'll have you on and we'll talk about this and just a bunch of other shit. Because she's been killing it. She's got so many things, irons in the fire and so forth, and I really enjoyed talking to her, and I think a lot of people would enjoy getting to see and listen to her talk. So that's a recommendation. If you haven't, pick up Unfuckwithable. I literally bought this. I didn't get it for free, so I actually support a lot of the shit that we have on the show and talk about. But yeah, I think Frankie from Rockabilly, I think we're going to have him on next week. Otherwise, if that doesn't work out, I think I might try to get Nathan from Kind Punk on. We've been trying and talking so much
cool.
between him doing AEW and a bunch of other shit. Like what he was telling me he was filming this week, I was like, oh fuck, dude, I'm so fucking jealous. But unfortunately, I'm not really going to talk about it because, you know, kayfabe. But no, I've been having fun doing this. Sometimes they, you know, I made a joke earlier about at times, you know, and if people are watching or watched on Twitch or whatever, you know, probably saw me doing a lot of ancillary things between either, you know, commenting on the Twitch stream and kind of keeping that going, because I know probably things like that matter, just like they do here on Facebook and so forth. Sending out an email to our graphic design person with all the stuff for the next like month's worth of episodes. There's, like I said, there's so much little shit that I do for the podcast that like it's not that I don't care about this, but I realize if I'm not talking and I can listen, I can do a couple of other things and get them knocked off my plate real quick. So apologies to Joe from Lightworker if you thought that I wasn't interested in our chat yesterday or last week or the week before. That literally was what, like not even a week after my uncle died. But I said I would do it. And sometimes when you do these things, like it's the nice thing to take your mind off of the real shit you're going through. And I know for me and Dan, you know, we talk quite a bit about how nice it is sometimes that this is a getaway for us. You know, Dan made the comment on the Michael Stani episode about when we started talking about the politics and so forth of everything. And thankfully, no one's given us any shit about that. I was really contemplating taking that out of the episode, but I kept it in because just like the us talking, I mean, that's not a beer, us talking about drinking and so forth, like I kept cutting it out because I was like, no one cares. No one gives a fuck what we have to say about these things. And maybe this is an example, either A, where people skipped over it, no one cares, or maybe it's finally us being able to talk about some real shit and people actually listening to us because we've earned not the right to talk about these things, but we've earned trust, maybe rapport with whoever listens to this show, that maybe you're willing to hear us out. So if people didn't just skip over us talking about those things, like, thank you for letting us have an avenue to, you know, kind of get things off our chest that are real. I think, you know, we always talk about the mysterious episode where we really got real and honest, and unfortunately we've never been able to put it out. But I think that was a big turning point for Dan and I to want to be more open on the podcast. I mean, you can't call it Brutally Speaking and have it only apply to the interviews and not have it apply to what we do and what we say.
Yeah, absolutely. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
Just like the old saying, for every finger you have pointing out, you got 3 or 4 more pointing back at you.
Right. No doubt.
So for the live stream, thank you, Brandon Kellum, especially for coming through in the clutch and talking about a myriad of things based off of Twitch, where maybe Dan didn't expect half of them to go, but was a lot more fun. I'm glad that we didn't completely scrap this and just do a couple intros and so forth and then just call it a night. I had fun chatting.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see you soon.
Yay.